Hi, I'm Dr. Imani Coles, and I'm here with Mr. Will Holmes, founder of WHC, Will Holmes Consulting. This is a training video for us to use the WHC cash flow tool.
Good morning, Dr. Coles.
Good morning. What is the purpose of the WHC 12-month cash flow projection tool?
Oh, thank you for asking. You see, cash flow is a lender's love language. So if you speak cash flow, you'll have a better chance of securing funding when you need it to grow your business. I created the WHC 12-month cash flow projections tool to help business owners plan the growth of their organization. This tool helps you input desired revenue and planned expenses, making it easier to visualize when you should hire, when you should seek capital, and when you should expand. You can download the most recent version of the tool and the most recent training video at whcusa.com/cash flow. See, the way I see it is the same way an artist uses a sketch pad to plan the layout of a masterpiece. Savvy business owners can use the 12-month cash flow tool to plan out the budget for their growth. Business owners use the cash flow projections to list all their expenses and determine how much each expense will be each month. So that way, when you capture all your expenses, you determine how much revenue you need and how much you need to sell in order to cover these expenses. You also determine how much you need to sell to make a profit and how much you need to sell to hit your profit goals. The numbers don't lie. So let the numbers tell you if this is a good business idea or not. And also, the numbers will tell you the timing on when you should hire people and when you should expand. I encourage all the business owners watching this video to use the tool to get a clear handle on your business operations and your potential growth. Remember, there's no limit to how much you can actually earn. You just have to sell more stuff. And it's always comes down to the sales and creating value for your customers. Finding a need in the market, filling that need, and getting paid. But you start off by visualizing your ideas, making them real, and then turning them into a profitable business. And this tool allows you to do that. So as you plan your expenses, consider aspirational goals like buying a new truck for the business to make deliveries, or maybe expanding to a second or a third or a fourth location. These investments should be funded by your current pricing strategy and your sales goals, ensuring your customers contribute to your growth and long-term success. What your customers pay today sets the foundation for growth tomorrow. So make sure your pricing is right so you can grow your business profit. Also, make sure your sales goals are right. So you make sure that your team knows how much they should be selling every month, every week, every day, every hour, so you can hit the sales goals you need, not only to cover expenses, but also to meet your profit goals. Remember, your profit is what you keep. The WHC Cash Flow tool will help you to plan these things out.
Wow, Mr. Holmes, this sounds great. Do you mind giving us a tour of the tool?
Absolutely. So what I'm going to cover over these next couple minutes are actually listed here in the instructions. Okay. So I'm not going to read those to you, but I just want to but when you get this, of course, take a look at the overview. It really talks about what the tool's for, similar to what I just explained. The instructions actually go section by section, very detailed. And I'll let you read that when you purchase the tool or download the tool. What I want to do right now, though, for you though, is just give you a little tour, but a pretty in-depth tool, very detailed, so you can really understand how to use this tool once we finish this video. All right. So let's start off with, this is the 12-month projection tab. Okay, so this is the tab where we will essentially input information about our business and be able to really determine the path for moving forward as far as for sales and expenses. So let me just give you a little tour here. Usually I recommend we start off here in this, where right here where it says your company name, this tab right here. So for a few reasons. One, obviously, so uh, if you're talking to a lender, if you send this to them, they'll know who this belongs to, right? And then, of course, this is really just for your purposes. So when you are filing this away, or if you happen to look at different business ventures, this helps just to make sure you're looking at the right company and the right venture. So that it actually comes in very, very handy. The next I want you to really to look at right here, your industry. This is B8. Type in your industry. Once again, if you're going to give this to a lender, this will be helpful for them. If they receive this before they talk to you, this is great. So they know what industry you're in. And then, of course, right here, F8, what do you sell? So some people say, well, I don't sell anything. I'm a doctor. I see patients. Like, okay, well, I guess how do you make money? All businesses need to bring in revenue. So how do you do that? Do you offer services? Do you see patients? Do you sell cupcakes? Are you a business consultant? Whatever it is, just really give us an idea of what it is you sell. That's great for a lender because they want you to be able to articulate that you understand what it is you need, what needs you need to fill in the market with your products or services. So that's really where you would list that there. Next, in row 5, this big orange box where it says projected profit at year end based on sales. So what this is the bottom line. Okay, this is after just looking at the sales that you make and the expenses that you have, what's left over at the end of the year. Okay, this is so this doesn't include if you happen to get a loan or use your cash flow, excuse me, or use a line of credit to put money into your business. It doesn't count that. This is important because we want to make sure that when you are planning out your business, you're creating a profitable business model that can stand alone without any type of additional outside funding. Now, of course, as a business owner, I've been in business 20 years. Outside funding is important, okay? But the purity of the business model should be profitable. So, and eventually we want to get it there. Even if we have to use loans this year, hopefully by next year, you'll be in a place where you're profitable and without any additional funding. You have a model that makes enough money to cover your expenses. So then row 6, this box right here, if you take any funding, any loans or input any money from your credit line, this number will be different, probably higher than row 5, because this is all the money that's in your bank account at the end of the year, including any funding from lenders. Okay. So if you had to take a loan in order to cover expenses, which is natural and normal, and as you grow your business, this will show up there. And it's totally fine, but it's important to know that there is a difference. B10, this dark gray box here, this is where you input any startup capital. So let's say if you're looking at this this projection year starting in 2025, but in December of 2024, you have $5,000. Great, that would go right there, and that will if I put that money in here, that's going to do is automatically add $5,000 to your bank account. You haven't put in any revenue or any type of expenses yet, so that way that's why it's just showing up as $5,000. Also, so if you see here in the big orange boxes, once again, projected profit at this point, 5,000, projected cash balance at year end, 5,000. Okay. Next, rows 10 and 11, as you can see here in these light gray boxes, what this is your bank balance at the beginning of each month. Okay. So let's say, for example, we make some money and we end up putting in, let's say we make $10,000. That's going to do, see what happened is it was $5,000 based on what we had in the bank on January 1st, because we had some money in December of the prior year. We made $10,000 in that month. So what does it do? It adds $10,000 to the bank balance. Remember, we haven't put any expenses in. So a red flag should be if any of these numbers become negative. So let's say we put some numbers in the expenses, that's down here in the pink section. What happens? We see a negative number in the bank balance at negative 5,000, which of course shows up here as negative $5,000. So it should be a red flag to you if you see this number go negative. That means you need to sell more stuff to make it go positive again, or reduce your expenses. Now, what you'll see here is these top 11 rows are frozen. So with the frozen rows, why is it frozen? Well, it's really because this is your dashboard. So as you scroll through this tool, those top 11 rows stay so you can always see them. Okay, so this way you can really get an idea of real time as you put in numbers. What do your numbers look like? Now, what I usually do when I work with businesses is I usually have them actually start off by going to the pink section first. I'm just going to delete these numbers for now. You can have a fresh start. Usually have them go to the pink section first. Why? Well, pink section, that's expensive. And what I really encourage you to do is to go through your bank statements. Yes, it will be tedious. Yes, it will take some time. However, this way you can make sure you really know what's happening in your business. As you can see here, there are already some categories listed. Estimated federal, state, quarterly tax payments. Yes, you should be paying quarterly tax payments to the federal, to the government. We're all supposed to do that. Now, you may pay yours once, just in April, and you should talk to your accountant about the best way to do that. Also, you should be talking to your accountant about estimated quarterly tax payments as far as how much you should be paying, so you don't run into any tax problems at any point really with having a business, but especially to make sure you have enough to pay your taxes when they're due. Another line for sales tax, merchant and credit card fees. Most of us have those. Franchise fees. If you have a franchise, you may have to pay that. I do encourage you to think about a savings, planning for savings. I listen. And remember, this is not for your accountant. This is not for your tax plan. This is for you to plan how you're going to make sure you have money in your business. Okay. But also, I want you to remember, you work for yourself now. No one is paying attention to your retirement except for you. No one's going to make sure you have a comfortable retirement except for you. So I encourage you to make the customer pay for your retirement by making sure this is a part of your expenses. Okay. And this will make sure that if you're planning for it, even if it's a little bit per month, you can make sure that you have some money put away for the future. I have here a savings investment short term and also retirement savings long term for payment of new loans. So if you do happen to, up in the green section, we're going to list, let's say you're going to get a line of credit and put some money in to cover expenses, or you get a loan in order to maybe do renovations. Great. You want to show that you're paying that back. And especially if you talk to a lender and use this tool to show them how much you need, because this is going to help you figure out the ask. They're going to want to say, okay, well, how much are you going to be paying us back? And if you don't have that in your projection is going to be off. Also, and there are a number of expenses here. These are the most common expenses that we see when we work with companies. And of course, we look at rent, we look at phone and internet, utilities, paying your current staff, paying new staff. So why do we break it out? It's important to show when you're going to grow. So by showing when your current staff, how much you're paying them maybe right now, but you're going to maybe add some staff and later in the year, great. That's fantastic. But you want to show that difference, you can show these milestones when how you're going to grow. Thinking about when you're going to maybe hire a second in command, very important. That allows you to have time. You can focus on the growth of your business. Payroll fees, taxes, and benefits, if that's not already included in your payroll for staff. You don't want to double count it, but some people break it out separately. Then, of course, like medical expenses, administrative costs, outsourced staff, human resources, tax preparation, accounting. marketing expenses, website, CRM, other normal, of course, legal, any business consulting and coaching, normal expenses that a business would have. Of course, your business may need something special. And so you can always, of course, delete these lines if you like, put something else in, or just add a number of categories here in the bottom, right? Totally customizable for your business. Over here on this side, this is where you can type in notes. This is Q43. You can type in notes here, so that way you can remember the logic as far as when you're putting in these numbers, when you're going to hire people, when you're going to actually expand. So now I'm going to scroll up here, back to the green section. Oh, and actually, let me show you one more thing, actually, above the page. Here, this is really important for you as you think about how you're going to grow your business. Project the number of staff for each month. So as you add staff, it's important just really consider, hey, I'm going to need maybe one person in this month, including me. Maybe I'm just getting started, or maybe it's just me as a solopreneur right now. Or maybe I'm going to have 2 people in month 2, 5 people in month 3. Then maybe it stays consistent throughout the summer, but then in the end of the year, maybe that's your busy season, you've got to ramp up to 5 or 6 or 7 people. That's great, right? This allows you to really plan that out, and it should match up with the expenses regarding payroll. And think about how it plays a part in ensuring you have enough people in order for you to hit your sales. So now we're back up in the green section. In these revenue sources, I have sources 1 all the way through 21. Why so many? I really want you to brainstorm. I want you to think about all the different ways that you can make money. So it may be that, let's say if you're a service organization, maybe there are different services you can offer. Maybe if you're a product, if you sell products, hey, maybe you can offer different lines of products. Or maybe you have a small version, a medium-sized version, a large version of what you sell. This is where you really think about all the different ways that you can make money. And it's important to break it out because it lets you really see, one, where the money is really coming from, but also at what time of the year. Another thing to consider, for example, we do government contracts. So if we may start work in month 1, let's say January, but we may not get paid until month 3, let's say $15,000. So, but meanwhile, we've had expenses in those months. So that's really where cash flow comes in. It's the timing. So if you have expenses early and money doesn't come until later, right? That's going to create negatives in your projection. We don't want that. So what are we going to do? We're either going to make more money by selling more stuff, or go and look for, or reduce expenses, or we go and look for a line of credit or a loan from the bank. Timing is really what cash flow is all about. So it's important that you think about that. But break out all the different ways you make money. You got your B2G, your B2B, so business to government, business to business, business direct to consumer, all the different ways that you can make money. I really want you to brainstorm and think, how can we bring more money into this business? Now, if you scroll down here to row 35, this is funding from a loan or line of credit. This is important. So remember when I was saying about the timing of cash flow? It's really, really important that you think about, hey, you know what? I'm going to work on this job. I'm going to start working in January. I've got to pay the team in January. I've got to pay them in February. We don't get paid until March. If you see this bank account go negative, that's a red flag, like I said earlier. You should be thinking about, okay, look, if it goes negative in April, hey, I'm going to need some money in maybe February or March to cover expenses. This is the ask. This is where you would go to your bank and say, hey, look, I need $20,000 in order to cover expenses. For the bank, it's important that you show use of funds and exactly how much you're going to ask, with exactly how much you're going to ask for, because it's not just, hey, I need about $25,000 in order to cover things. Hey, it really should be, hey, I need about $22,300 to cover these expenses that are all listed here in this pink section. Yeah. Now, and then we're up here, row 12, this is this gold row. Very, very important. This is where you would list your projected sales. So if you think you're going to have, let's say if you sell services, maybe let's say you do massage therapy, let's say you're going to have 10 clients in January, 10 clients in February, March it gets a little busy, you're going to have 20. Here's where you would list them here. If you are a business that maybe, let's say you're a restaurant, then maybe it's not customers, maybe you're tracking transactions, how many transactions you have. And that way, what this is going to do is going to allow you to really look at sales volume. So this is not how much money, you're already capturing the revenue that comes in down here in the green section. The yellow section is really more, it's the volume, it's the quantity, how many sales you're making. This hopefully goes up throughout the year, but there's going to be seasonality involved for most of us. Just certain times of the year are busier than others, but you should look at that and plan accordingly. You don't have to accept that you're going to have a slow August. Maybe you could sell something else. Once again, where your brainstorm comes in. Here in this section over here, this is where you can put your notes to really talk about, this is Q15, to really talk about your logic on how you're going to grow your business. Once again, we want to take a look here at the two orange boxes at the top. Really, really important because once again, cash flow projections. If you're going to be in business, you want to have a profit. So as you input all these numbers, and we're going to do a role play in just a little bit, when you input all these numbers, it's going to make changes to all these boxes over here in the dashboard, but also here, the projected profit. So after you put these numbers in, gone through these steps that I just showed you, you're going to see these numbers all change. And you can use that in order to really decide when you go back and make changes. Also, I really recommend using the cash flow tool as a living, breathing document to update it as you go. So initially it's a projection, but as you actually have money coming in, going back, revisiting this, typing in your actuals, and seeing what it does to your projection. Also here in this section right here, now right now this line is flat, okay? But what this is, this is in Q11, this is the profitability trend. So right now it's flat, but as we make money, what's going to do is it's going to jump as we have expenses and revenue as we put them in during the role play. You'll see that happen in just a bit. And then before we go into role play, I just want to show you these last two things. The 12-month action plan. This is a great tool right here. This will allow you, once you put in your numbers, to talk about your strategy, talk about any needs you may have as far as resources, and also any key dates and deadlines. As we put in numbers, as you can see here, as we put in numbers, this will populate these fields. So it'll show your revenue for January, your projected expenses. It'll figure out your profit, also the number of staff and number of sales. By using this, you can then really create a plan of action. So you can move forward with how you're going to actually achieve these goals in the upcoming year. This is also a great tool for talking to your partners and your members of your team. You may or may not want to share, exactly like your profit. That's up to you. But everything else, showing them, hey, look, this is what we need to do in this month in order to hit our goals. It's a great foundation for you to have that conversation. All right. And then, of course, there's a second tab for year two. When you're ready to plan next year, this is where you can just essentially start over, thinking about what you're going to do after these initial 12 months, in that year after, planning ahead, and of course, making changes as you go to ensure that you hit your goals. All right. Dr. Cole, did I forget anything?
You did not.
Okay, so are you up for a little role play this morning?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay, so if you play the business owner, I'm going to play the business consultant. All right. So what I'm going to do is just ask you some questions about your business, and then from there we'll see how the numbers come out. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Very, very good. Very good. So we're going to start here, right here with a fresh, clean cash flow tool. I'm going to start here, just like I started when I was going through the instructions. What's the name of this business that we're going to talk about today, Dr. Holmes?
So, hello, my name is Dr. Imani Coles, and the name of my company is actually Big Al's Restaurant and Bar.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Thank you.
All right, very good. And the industry,
So I'm in the restaurant food industry.
okay. And what do you sell?
So I actually have a restaurant, but I also do catering. So we also cater to the public, and so we also cater business events, and we cater different government events as well.
Okay, great. All right, very good. So I always like to start down here in the pink section. We think about expenses. So obviously, this is role play. We don't have to go super deep, but I'll just ask you a few questions, and then from there, we will move on to the potential ways you make revenue. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's start with very important estimated quarterly tax. About how much do you think you'll have to pay? Oh, and actually, I apologize. Let me start here. When we think about when does this projection start, this green box right here, when would you want this to start?
We're in a busy season. Let's go ahead and let's have it start quarter three. So let's go uh with September.
Okay, I'm typing in here 9/2024, and what happens is all these headers for the months they get updated as well, so that way the projection will change. All right, great. So estimated quarterly taxes. When do you pay your quarterly tax?
So I typically pay them ideally, right? I try to pay them at the end of each quarter. That is my goal.
Okay, so let's say March, then June, then maybe September, then maybe December. All right, so about how much would you be paying? Let's see, in September, about how much?
September, about $1,000.
Okay, all right. Then December,
Um, about 1250.
okay. March,
About 1,000.
okay, and then June.
1250.
Okay. Now, of course, you want to talk to your accountant. Now, depending on the size of your business and how much your revenue is, that may be perfect, but you want to talk to your accountant. This can often be as much as 10 to 15, 20% of your total revenue. Okay. So, but of course, depending on what your accountant does, as far as what you might write off or those types of things, this will vary from person to person. So definitely talk to your accountant and see what they say about that. As far as, let's see, I'm going to skip down just for the sake of time. Folks
Okay.
watch this video for a while. I think they might get the gist of it. Let's go right down to let's say for your staff. Do you have any uniform fees that you may pay?
Um, Everyone has their top that they do receive from us, but typically that's taken out of their first paycheck.
Okay, all right. So I guess that's covered. As far as utilities, about how much are your utilities every month?
About 500.
Okay. Does that stay pretty consistent?
It does.
Okay. All right. Phone and internet.
About 100.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What about current staff, payroll for them? But how much is that per month?
About 7,000.
Okay. Do you plan on adding any staff this year?
The goal is always to add more.
Okay. Do you know when you might add some more? What month?
Typically around the holidays, so the winter months will likely be when we're looking to add a couple more people.
So when
So.
Like maybe like November, December?
November, December, yes.
Okay. And about how much do you think that additional on top of the 7,000, how much more that would be for adding those people?
Maybe like 1,500.
Okay. All right. So would they stay on, or do you think they'll just be seasonal?
They'll likely be seasonal.
Okay. All right. Now, paying yourself, about how much do you want to pay yourself?
2,000 a month would be nice right now.
Okay. Okay. Are you thinking about hiring a second in command at some point
At some point,
this
but
year, maybe next year?
maybe next year.
Okay. All right. All right. And then we'll just do we'll just keep it simple. Let's just list any supplies. And how about let's just throw in, if you were to ballpark all of your other expenses, supplies, business insurance, marketing, everything else. Of course, I would want everybody to detail it here on this form.
Mhm.
But I think I just want folks to really understand how to use the tool. But if you were to just clump everything together, what would that be per month?
Um, Roughly 3,000.
Okay. All right, very good. All right. So what this is showing us here, if you look up at the top in the big orange boxes, it's saying, well, it has a parentheses around the number, that's a negative number. Okay. So $158,700 is negative. Also, if you take a look over here at the dashboard, what we're seeing here is we haven't put any revenue in, so those revenue numbers aren't showing up. But we're looking at the average expenses per month. Looks like it's about 13,225. The profit, of course, is showing up negative because we haven't put any revenue in yet. And some of these other numbers aren't filled in yet. But the total expenses is going to show here 158,700. Also, if you notice here, the profitability trend is going straight down because we haven't put any revenue coming in the business yet in our projection. That should change as we add in revenue. Okay. So we're going to go up here to oh, and I almost forgot something. Sorry about that. Staff. So it looks like here we had that you're going to pay about 7,000 a month, and you're going to add some staff in November, December. That's 7,000. About how much staff does that represent?
So that represents about 8 people.
Okay. And then in November and December, is that two more people?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be 8, 8, then 10, 10, then back down to 8, and it'll carry through for the rest of the year. All right, very good. Now up to revenue. So what are the different ways that your restaurant makes money?
Yes. So we make money from those that actually come into the restaurant. And so we also make money based off of the different catering events that we do. So we have some smaller private events, and then we have, of course, our larger scale events and those businesses, or excuse me, those events that we also have contracted with the government. So we have quite a few different ways of making revenue.
Okay, so how about you got your restaurant money coming in, your catering direct to consumers, got catering B2B, and then catering B2G. B2B is business to business, B2G business to government. Would you say those are the top 4 ways you bring in money?
I would. That's a great way to summarize.
All right, great, very good. So with your restaurant, about how much money, how much revenue from sales uh, is coming in every single month?
About like 10,000.
Okay. Does that go up during November, December?
It does. It goes up to about like 13, probably November, December.
Okay.
We can even throw January in there too.
Okay.
And then it starts to go back down.
Back down to about 10,000.
About 10,000.
Okay. Now, for those watching the video, of course, we're using just kind of broad numbers here. Your seasonality may be different, but I encourage you to be as exact as possible when putting in your numbers. So catering B2C, right? Direct to consumer. But how much is that per month? Like, does it have any busy seasons, slow seasons?
So the busy season actually would probably be around that October, November, December, January period. We can even throw February in there as well.
Okay.
And
About how much?
so that will be probably when we're making about 4,000.
Okay. Put those numbers in right there. And the rest of the
And
time is, what would you say it is?
about 3,000.
All right, very good. As you can see here, as you put these numbers in, our trend line is looking much better, looking trending upward. And if you notice here in the orange boxes, those we're now at a positive number, 10,300 in profit already, and we still have a couple more revenue lines to go. So that's really, really good. So catering B2B,
That is consistently around 5,000.
okay, around 5,000. All right. Now catering B2G. With that, do you ever like have to put in work before you get paid, or is it pretty consistent, or what do you think?
We definitely do. A lot of times we're getting our payments on the back end. And so that's been pretty consistent for us. Does that answer your question?
It does. So do you have some months where you don't get any money from them at all, or is it pretty consistent every month, or what do you think?
Um, I would say maybe like January, sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge. But then after that, we're pretty good to go.
Okay. All right. So after January. Um, so so how much would it be, let's say in September?
In September, probably say about 6.
Okay. And that's pretty consistent until January.
It is.
Okay. And then in January, how much would it be?
January, we'll say 2.
Okay. And then February?
February, we'll say about 8. And then from April onward, we'll go back down to 6.
Okay. All right, very good, very good. So, and then as far as projected sales, what we'll do is, I know with the catering business that those are larger contracts. So if we just looked at, let's say, just at actual customers or transactions in a month, what would you say your normal number of transactions would be?
Um, Normal number, maybe about say 500.
Okay. And then when you have like those busy seasons, November, December, what does it go up
700.
to? All right. All right, this looks great. So profitability trend is looking fantastic. Looks like you have projected profit at year end based on sales, $140,300. Looks like it's actually the same here because we're not showing that you wanted to take any funding from lenders. Is that true, or are you planning on needing any money from any lenders?
Actually, I am interested in potentially opening up another location, maybe around July. And it would be great to use money from lenders to try to get that started.
Okay, all right, great. So let's see. So we've got a row here for let's see, new location. All right, so let's see, it's around July.
Yes.
About how much you think that would be? We've got renovation building costs. About how much you think that would be?
Roughly 40,000.
Okay. All right. So what we could do here is row 35, funding from a loan or line of credit. We could, we're going to need that part of the month before. We put 40,000 here. I think you just need 40,000. Just, I mean, that's the renovation, but we need any additional money maybe to hire more people or
For sure, potentially. So maybe what would you think would be a good recommendation, Mr. Holmes? 50,000 or should I
maybe as
ask for
high as
more?
60.
60? Okay.
Let's say 60. Okay. All right. So what we're going to show here is here at the top, what we're going to notice here is that the projected profit a year end based on sales is $100,000. But projected cash balance, you're going to have additional money left over that because of that additional 60,000 that we're going to take from the bank. Okay. So what we're showing here, if we look at our profitability, now that profitability is going to show that that bump in the revenue that's coming in. Right. So one thing here is that I want you to just really understand that that's not profit that we're looking at here. That's really just more additional money that's coming to your business. And I wanted to show it here so you can at least show that, okay, look, that's something that's major that's happening in your business as far as bringing in revenue. But I broke it out here as far as being separate, the projected profit and the projected cash balance, two different things, okay? I wanted to show it so you can actually see something significant happening there. So you can talk to your lender about it as well. But profit does not include your any money you get from a lender or line of credit. So, but when you look at your summary based on 12 months, we're looking at here is average revenues. Average revenue per month looks like about $24,916. Average expenses per month about $16,558. Average profit $85,000. Looks great. Total revenue about $299,000. So one thing to consider that those taxes only about $4,500. You should talk to your accountant to really just make sure that that's enough, and if not, do some tax planning, make sure that that's right. Total expenses about $198,000. Average sales per month about 533. Average cost per sale $31.05. Average profit per sale about $25. Total sales projected about 6,400. And profit margin, this does not include the money that you're going to get from any funding. Looking at a profit margin about 34%, which is actually very, very good for the restaurant industry. Okay. Any questions about this, Dr. Coles?
I don't believe I have any questions at this time. You answered all the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Coles, I really want to thank you so much. Oh, actually, before we go over, I want to show you the action plan. Look what happened. So by putting in all the numbers here, all these numbers were filled out or populated. So September revenue at 24,000, expenses at 13,600, profit at 10,400, number of staff 8, number of sales 500. So what I'd recommend is when you get this, is actually just take some time and input here what you're going to do to make sure you hit those goals. Okay. All right. All right. Well, Dr. Coles, that's all I had as far as role play, and I think we're ready to wrap up.
I think so as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Holmes, for showing us how to use the WHC cash flow tool. For all of you that are watching, if you have not downloaded the tool already, please be sure to check out whcusa.com/cash flow to find the most recent version of the cash flow projection tool. Thank you very much, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Dr. Coles. Is everyone watching? I'll see you at the top.
Thank you.